Hi, my name's Nikki, the Obsessive Bookseller. Welcome to my channel. Today we're doing a YA book haul. Full disclosure, this is a haul that I made last year before the end of the year, and it was back in the time when I lost a whole bunch of footage and I just could never bring myself to refilm this haul. But it's a really cool one. I went on a shopping spree on Book Outlet, not sponsored, but I should be for how often I talk about them, like call me. But I never let myself look at YA books on Book Outlet because I have a big enough spending problem with the adult science fiction fantasy stuff. But last year, I'm pretty sure it was late and I was weak and I decided to see what was available. And so I went hog wild. I don't think I paid that much for all of these titles, like maybe $200 all said and done, which I understand sounds like a lot of money for books if you're not into that kind of thing. But for me, it's not bad, especially with how many books that I got. First up, I've got Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. This is the third book in the Ember in the Ashes series, which I don't know a whole lot about, but back when I was doing a lot of buddy reads on Fantasy Buddy Reads, one of the people that I read a lot of books with, who by the way didn't read a lot of young adult, read this series and really liked it as an adult science fiction fantasy reader. So I thought, okay, cool. And so I had the second book on my shelf for ages, and I just recently hauled the first book, so now I've got the third one. Perfect. Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. Now, I worked as a bookseller back when Twilight first came out, and actually I think New Moon had just come out as well, and I had so many people coming in asking me for Midnight Sun because it's from Edward's perspective and everybody really wanted to read it back then, and they were really mad at me that I didn't have any information on it. But finally a customer told me, oh yeah, it's not something she has published yet. So that was when I was 16. Flash forward like 21 years, here we are, it finally came out. I tried to read this one and I got about a third of the way through before putting it down. I have a whole rant on Goodreads about why I didn't enjoy this book that much, but for whatever reason, the collector in me, I saw it for like $5. I was like, ooh, I want to make sure I have the whole set even though I didn't like one of the books, because I did actually enjoy the series as a whole. It was late, okay? And I'm weak when it comes to book buying. The Color of Dragons by R.A. Salvatore and Erica Lewis. I'm imagining that Lewis had a lot more to do with the actual writing of this one. Maybe Salvatore is like a big enough author that he can pull like a James Patterson where he can put his name on the cover but someone else actually wrote the book. Anyway, it had the word dragons in the title, and I do like Salvatore's storytelling and world building, so I thought this one would be a cool one to pick up. Actually also quite like the colors on the cover. It's pretty cool. Flamefall by Rosario Munda. This is the second book in the Flamefall trilogy, and I've heard nothing but positive reviews for it online. Now granted, I haven't listened to that many of them, but it is something that I would like to try at some point, and I figured I got a discount copy of the second book. I may as well start the collection now. This is how I get myself into trouble though, because if I hate the first book, then I'm stuck with stuff that I bought that I shouldn't have. Grave Maidens by Kelly Kuhn. This YA cover has always intrigued me. I thought I had purchased the second one as well. It may turn up in the haul, but it wasn't sitting next to this one on the shelf. But yeah, it looked really interesting. And Grave Maidens thinks maybe it's a little darker than most YA, so hopefully it's got a bit of grittiness, but this one was completely a cover buy. Strange New World, sequel to Brave New Girl or something like that by Rachel Vincent. I don't know anything about this one, but girls in pretty dresses in a slightly dystopic area is a subgenre of YA that I absolutely love, and Rachel Vincent is one of my favorite authors. It's just, randomly, the things that she's done, I really loved her Menagerie series, and I really loved her Stray series, and I haven't picked up anything from her that I haven't enjoyed, so I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. I mean, it's less of a risk to buy this one since I know I like the author than some of the other ones, but I don't have the first book. I need to work on that. Deliverance by R.J. Redwine, or C.J. Redwine. I think this is the second or third book in the Defiance trilogy, and I had two of the others in hardcover, and this is the only one I didn't have in that format. So I bought this one simply to complete my collection of hardcovers, and if I end up not liking it, then it didn't cost me too much more to replace that other one. But yeah, I have unhauled the paperback. I don't really know if this one's any good or not. I don't even know what it's about. The covers are kind of vague. They just look like this. It's a girl with red hair sitting on the cover. Is it post-apocalyptic? Maybe. I picked up Light by Michael Grant. This is part of the Gone series, and I haven't read it, but I think it's also kind of post-apocalyptic, and I don't know much about the author other than he's married to K.A. Applegate, who wrote Animorphs, and so by association, I would like to read his works. But the only book I've read, it was the one that they did together. It was like Adam and Eve, or Eve and Adam, something like that, but it was kind of dystopian. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all, so makes me a little nervous. But I'd been collecting these editions of the series because I'd like to read it eventually, so one more for the thing. I think it was only like $3. Empire of Dream by Ray Carson. This is a continuation, a single book continuation following a minor character from the Girl of Fire and Thorn series, and I liked it. It had a lot of cool training sequences, and that really was the highlight of the book. It didn't affect me as positively as Girl of Fire and Thorns because that first book is my single all-time favorite YA book. I love it so much. All you Throne of Glassers, like, read that first book. I think you'll really enjoy it. There were a lot of similarities, only I thought the main character felt more realistic. I love her. But anyway, this one was pretty decent. I liked it enough that I wanted a copy for my shelves, and yeah, not a bad one. I like the naked hardback is colored too. It's pretty cool. A couple of books here by Kate Glass, A Summoning of Demons and A Conjuring of Assassins. And come to find out, Kate Glass is a pen name for Carol Berg, whom I've just read a few books for with my patrons, like Patreon Book Club, and then also for Read Burn Hoard. And I have discovered that I just don't click with her writing. So I might give this one a go. I think it has to do with Jinn. Chimera. It's Chimera, which I don't really have a lot of patience for either, because that's like, oh, look at this cool creature. It's like a hippopotamus with a dragonfly, and it's just really cool. Like, I've never been into that kind of stuff. The hodgepodge ridiculousness of it drives me crazy. But I don't know. I might give these a try. We'll see if they're good. I bought them before I knew who she was. And I don't know, maybe the YA version of her stuff will work for me better. One of my complaints is that her world building and everything wasn't quite there. Like, everything was okay, but not quite on par with what I wanted. But, you know, my expectations are a lot lower for YA books in general, so maybe it'll work better. Next up, I have Infinity Sun and Infinity Reaper by Adam Silvera. And, ooh, I have a signed copy. That's cool. So I bought these mostly for the covers, and I kind of like the kind of magic feeling of the story. And I think it's a duology. And I thought these were really pretty, and honestly, I don't really know much more about them than that. But I do know that I really, really want to read it. Sometimes it's just a feeling you get when looking at the cover. I just think this one looks really cool. Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff wrote the Aurora trilogy, and I have the first one. I did not have the next two, so I thought I would pick them up in hardcover, because if I end up liking that series, it might be nice to have them. I have read a few things by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner, but I have not done Jay Kristoff yet, but he's getting a lot of attention for his Empire of the Vampires, so maybe he can bring whatever he did in that story that people really like and kind of make this one a little more robust and gritty. We'll see. I bought a box set, the Artemis Fowl series, which honestly it was like $15, and I thought, you know, that might be cool to have. Now, I started reading this series to my brother when we were a lot younger, right back when the first book had just come out, and we were so confused that we put it down and picked up something else. So I don't know if it was just the mood we were in or if we were just stupid, but we couldn't get into this one. So I'm going to pick it up as an adult and see if I have any more success, because I know the people who have read the series and really love it, like really love it. So I want to be a part of that bandwagon, especially since I have already read like the Fablehaven, the Percy Jacksons, like all of the main really popular ones, and I could use another kind of like sparkly middle grade series to get into. We'll see how it goes. I've got Untamed and Unhinged, books 2 and 3 in the Splintered series by Howard. Now, these are completely cover buys. I have the first one. I got it as an ARC, and it was so beautiful, and I thought, even if I don't like the series, I kind of want to own them because they're pretty. The thing is, though, is I tried to read the first one, and I have a really hard time with retellings, and Alice in Wonderland is not one of my favorite stories. So why I have these, I really don't know. I can't see myself getting into it, but it is kind of fun. She talks to bugs, so maybe when I picked it up, I didn't have patience for it then, but maybe I'll like it now. We'll give it a go. Push by Eve Silver I bought this one because I have the first and third book in hardcover and I needed the middle one. I had a trade paper, but now it's complete set. Thing is, I haven't read the third book and I lost patience with this one. I did read this one. The first book was amazing. It's like a virtual reality, but it's a real place where they're fighting aliens, and if you die in there, you die in real life kind of a thing. And the world building was so cool. The action was awesome. And then the second book was all about the boy. Oh my gosh, the boy this, the boy that, and forget about the cool alien fighting stuff. Let's talk about the boy more. And I got so fed up. Even if I was into the boy, which I can't remember if I was or not back in the day, like I just wanted to get back to the action. And so, cool series. If you can kind of breeze through the second book, let me know how the third one is because I never made it to it. But I would like to eventually see how it ended. Eden Conquered by Joelle Charbonneau. She wrote the Testing trilogy, which is one of my all-time favorites. Yes, they take a lot of tests in that series and they have to go through a lot of trials, and it's in a dystopic era with high stakes, and it is so freaking cool. The second book is one of my all-time favorites. So good. So I thought I would pick up anything else the author has on offer, and they were on bargain, so awesome. Horde by Anna Guire. This is a post-apocalyptic zombie story, which I actually thought she did a pretty good job with. I really like the character development. Normally I don't feel anything for characters in young adult stories, but I thought the girl in this one was pretty good. I thought it was sufficiently creepy. I even read these during a time when there was like a lot of zombie books hitting the market, and so I was kind of over it, but I still managed to enjoy this one quite a bit. It sets a really good atmosphere. It's kind of a creepy read, but YA appropriate. And I have a couple of the books in the series, but never bothered buying the rest of them, so this is just to kind of fill in some holes in my collection. Good one. More books by Joelle Charbonneau. Dividing Eden, which goes with Eden Conquered. I think that's a duology. And then Time Bomb. This is not science fiction fantasy. I think this is just like fiction, like suspense fiction, which I don't usually like in adult novels, but for some reason that like crime stuff in YA books really works for me. Maybe because they don't take it too far, because they still have to be audience appropriate. So thought I'd give this one a go as well. It also seems very suspenseful. I think these look really fun. So Ash Lords by Scott Renton and Bloodsworn. Actually, I've read Ash Lords, now that I'm thinking about it. So I think it's a race. It's this like competition race across the desert, and they all have different, I don't know, magic creatures or something that they're riding. It's been a while since I've read it, but I remember really liking it, and kind of gritty, people die kind of thing, and I had never gotten around to reading the second one. So the problem is I read this one as an ARC like a long time ago, and so by the time the second one came out, I had moved on with my life. The thing to have done would have been to wait until they were all out, both out, and then read them then. Excited that I have these. Prey by Tom Isbell. I'm getting kind of Maze Runner vibes, but that just might be the green on the cover, and it kind of looks like he's running through a maze. But I'm really interested in the subject matter. I love competitions and like survival stuff in young adult books, so it could be fun. I already had this one in paperback, but I had the next two in hardcover, so again, this is like replacing the one I have. Eventually, if I like the series, I'm going to be really grateful that I found a hardcover for like $5. So hopefully it's good. I bought The Novice by Taryn Matharu. I read this book as an ARC when it first came out and wrote one of the worst reviews I've ever written for it. Like the things about it that drove me really crazy, and I never made it further into the series. But looking back, and even after I submitted the review, I thought, I think I was a little too harsh on it, and I think I took it too personal. I'm sure all of us reviewers have a few reviews that we were like, ugh, I hope the author didn't see that. But anyway, the thing about this one is I thought it took too long to get to the substance of the story, and I never really made it to the part where you got to go to the school. It is a school-driven story, and I think it's got like magical creatures or whatever. I never got to that part because the first part kind of drug a little bit. But nowadays, we have audiobooks. I can just do other things while I'm listening to the book, and I have managed to collect the whole series despite initially not liking the first book like 10 years ago. But anyway, I'd like to give it another go. A lot of people who have read it really enjoyed it, and maybe I've read a lot more YA since then, and I'm not as harsh on this one as I started out being. And then I picked up the Royal Bastards series by Andrew Schwartz. City of Bastards and War of Bastards are the next two in the series. I think it's a trilogy. And I don't know, it's a YA book, but it's got the word bastards on the cover, so maybe it'll be a little more edgy. I really like fantasy stuff. I love YA stuff, and I thought it kind of seems like it's going to be some sort of competition for the throne kind of thing. I'm just spitballing because I don't like to read the backs of books, but it seems like it could be a fun one to do. So, looking forward to those. And that's everything. It was a really good haul. There were one or two things in there that I bought that I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to like these, like the glass books. But overall, mostly I was just filling in holes in my collections and picking up stuff that I actually thought I might read. And that's always a good thing. So yeah, not a bad haul. And I'm really excited to dive into some of these. So I know most of my viewers are science fiction fantasy readers like me primarily. So I want to know, like, if you've read any of these, how they compare to some of the adult stuff that we love, and if I should prioritize any one of them above the other. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this one, and I hope to catch you next time. Bye.